Jay Horwitz, a special edition of the Amazing Mets on my podcast. Coach Bill Parcells, Hall of Famer. Thanks for coming on, Coach. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Jay. Good to be with you.
Yes, sir. So a little birdie told me coming out of Riverdale High School that you almost signed with the Phillies or the Red Sox. They offered you a big bonus, but
it wasn't too big. It was the Phillies. It wasn't the Red Sox. It was the Phillies. They did offer me a good bonus. There was no drafting that day, but my father wouldn't let me take it. He wanted me to go to college first.
And you went to Colgate for a while, right?
Right. And then they offered me a little more the next year. And my dad, again, was adamant that I wasn't going to be able to play baseball, so I was very upset. So I'll show him. I quit school.
You quit school?
Yeah, I quit school, and then I hitchhiked back to New Jersey, and he asked me what I was doing there. And I said, well, I don't know. I'm discouraged. You won't let me play baseball. He says, well, you got 3 days to get out of here.
He kicked you out of the house?
Kicked me out. So I went out west, and that's when the football started.
You went to which? Was baseball really your number one sport in country?
Yes, it was, yeah. I loved it. I played it. When
what position were you?
I was a catcher.
Was a catcher?
7 or 8 years old, I was playing on a town team. We played 40 games. So,
but I think it worked out okay. The football thing was good. It worked out okay.
Yeah.
What you knew Buck, our man, but Showalter. How did you first meet Buck?
Well, when I first really got to know Buck was I was coaching the Cowboys and he was managing Texas Rangers, and I went over there. I like going to baseball games. Right. I've always my whole life gone. And that's where I really kind of got to know him the best. And then I saw him a couple times when he was with the Orioles. I had met him when he was with the Yankees, but that was just a how you doing, that kind of thing. But I got to know him a little bit better, and I was real happy that he was coming back to New York. And he's a good man. The Mets got a good guy.
Don't you think it's one of the major things? You handle the press so well. You have to be able to control the press and be the spokesman for the team. And I think Buck is the perfect guy for us in that regard.
Well, he's got a lot of experience now, and he's been with a few clubs. He kind of knows what the drill is. And he also, the best thing is, having been in New York, he knows New York. So that's the best thing for him. And I think it's going to work out well. I'm very hopeful.
And you struck out of a relationship with one of our managers, Terry Collins. Do you see little Buck and Terry kind of same kind of guys, old school guys?
I didn't know Terry quite as well as I do Buck. And, yeah, I definitely think they're old school guys, and that fits with me pretty good because that's what I am. But I thought I liked Terry, and I thought he was a good taskmaster, and I think Buck will be the same thing. I think the Met fans are going to like having Buck.
We were just talking before. You used to go to a lot of Cardinal games. You said Yadier Molina is one of your favorite guys. He killed us in 2006. He seems like he's played for 40 years now, but he had a big home run. What did you like about Yadier Molina?
Just his dedication. I've seen him since he's been here in Jupiter, and that's 18 years now. I've seen him. I've watched him. I have a great deal of admiration for him. He is a dedicated craftsman, and he's kind of the eyes, the ears, and the heart of those Cardinals, and he leads the team. He handles the pitchers. I think he'll manage someday. I don't know whether he will or not, but I think he will.
You're a trivia expert too with baseball. I'm wrong. You memorize rosters or numbers, didn't you? The last time we talked about that.
Well, when I was young, Jay, there was 3 teams in New York.
Right.
And baseball was the big thing. Pro football wasn't anything when I was a young boy. Pro basketball was just getting started. So baseball was it. And, they were on television was first starting. You get exposed to them. Yeah, I knew everybody on all those teams.
Were you a Giant Yankee or Dodger?
I was a Giant fan. My father was a Yankee fan, so that's why I was kind of opposite. And he used to give me a hard time all the time. Yankees were winning pretty much when I was 10, 11 years old. They were 5 straight, So he would give me a little bit of a hard time, so I always try to go against it.
But who's your? I mean, who is your favorite team now? I mean, is there any one team that's favorite?
Well, I root for the guys that I know.
Right.
So, I know Tony La Russa very well,
Right.
so I'm pulling for him. Now I know Buck. I know Mattingly, but not real well.
Right.
Not too many others. I know Davey Martinez. I've spent some time with him. I like him. So it's just the guys that I kind of know. I kind of pull for those teams.
Let me ask you like a coach's question. Your second year, you were 3-12, something like that. I think.
My first year.
Your first year.
Right.
Do you think there's too much of a turnover now that people don't get a chance, whatever sport, to get a good second year or a good third year or
Well, Jay, we have different kinds of ownership than we used to have.
Right.
And, a lot of them are businessmen. Their name's on it.
Right.
They're in the limelight. They're desperate to be successful. And sometimes that creates a little sense of urgency that's maybe unnecessary once in a while. So, I mean, I don't know. It seems to be it's always been that way. It's coaching, managing has been a tough job to sustain excellence in a lot of sports, but that's just the way it is.
Well, my two Super Bowl memories, I've been a Giant ticket holder since 1958. The Buffalo game, I was sitting on the other side of where Norwood kicked. I remember saying to my friend Charlie, even if he makes a kick, it's a good year, everything would be good. And it was, thank God, it was a bad kick.
Well, I'm going to tell you a true story about that. I had a kicker named Matt Barr at the time,
I remember,
who was a veteran kicker, and he knew the kickers in the league. And Matt and I could communicate without even talking.
Yeah.
All I had to do was stare at him, and he would know what I wanted to know. When that kick was coming up, I kind of glanced down at him, and I looked at him. He said, Bill, he hasn't made one from 47 yards on the grass all year.
Really?
He's going to overkick it.
Really?
Like swing it, get your hands in front like on
That's
a golf
funny.
swing, block it right.
Yeah.
And that's just what happened.
Yeah. The other one in Phil Simms' game, 22 of 25. Any better quarterback in a big game,
He was magnificent that day. He I loved him. I was very fortunate to have him. We were good for each other. We understood each other. He could play on my team, that guy. He's an underrated player.
Do you see any parallels between Daniel Jones and, if I remember correctly, Phil got hurt a lot. He got booed. In all the years of going to Giant game, I never booed once. Never did I boo once. But fans killed him. In the beginning, right? And now Daniel Jones is under the microscope.
Well,
too.
he's under the microscope now, and it's time to get going. So hopefully they can give him a little better reinforcements on the front line. These quarterbacks, they all look the same when nobody can block for them.
Right.
So I think the Giants are doing their best to reinforce that. And I think that'll give you a better look at Daniel. I'm kind of rooting for, I root for the Giants too.
Yes, sir.
So
you said the new Giants new GM show worked for you.
yes, excuse me. Joe worked for me with me in Dallas and in Miami, so I know him pretty well. He's a serious football guy, and I think he'll do a good job. He's a serious guy. That's what I can tell you.
Really?
He's working at the job every minute.
Right, he's a young guy. He's turning it around.
I like him. He came out of Carolina with Brandon Beane, the GM at Buffalo, and Sean McDermott, the Buffalo coach. Those guys were 3 peas in a pod down there, and that's where they came from.
What are you thinking? Both teams have draft choices with top 10. Do you think tackles, guard? What do you think is it hard?
Yeah, when you got a high pick like that, I know myself, and I always try to think, well, who's the guy out there that I think is going to play for 10 years?
Right.
If you could find a guy, no matter who it is, doesn't have to be the fan favorite. Just if we had drafted Lawrence Taylor in 81, and we had Brad Van Pelt, we had Byron Hunt, and we drafted Carl Banks in 84. And everybody said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, that was the guy I thought might play 10 years, and he did.
Yeah.
So,
can I ask you what's your favorite LT story?
Oh, no. We haven't got time for those, Jay.
Why was it the interception against Detroit when he ran like 90 yards back?
No, I know that, but no. I got a couple of them. He had a busted assignment against the Cardinals a rookie year, and he sacked the quarterback, and I called him over there, and of course he sacked the quarterback, but he was doing the wrong thing. He was supposed to drop into the coverage. So I told him, I said, hey, listen, I wasn't the head coach at the time. I was the defensive coordinator. Yeah, I got it. I said, they're going to do this again now. So later in the game, same situation. Sure enough, he rushes again. He's supposed to be in coverage. The curl pass is wide open. This time he sacks the quarterback and strips the ball, and George Martin picks it up and runs for a touchdown. Play wins the game. So they're all jumping on top of him down the end zone, and I'm just looking down there. I'm staring. And he comes jogging up the sideline, and he looks at me, and it hits him. He says to me, he said, I did it again, didn't I? I said, yeah, you did it again. I said, the curl's wide open. We don't even have what you're doing. He gave me a little wink. He said, well, Coach, we got 2 sacks and a touchdown. We better put it in Monday. That's right.
You know, you had the press respected you because you never BS'd him. In New York, isn't that an important part for the basketball?
Well, I just think you have to be yourself. Now, I had one advantage. I grew up there.
Right.
So
you knew.
I kind of had been exposed to what goes on with the media. So, I mean, I was less than perfect, but, you know, I tried to be candid. I tried to help them do their job, and I didn't feel compelled to tell them everything.
You don't really have to, right? Just as long as they give you respect what you're doing, you're being genuine, right? To do that. But listen, it's been a real thrill for me, Coach. Long-time Giant fan. Thank you for your time. And
you're welcome, Jay. And I appreciate your kindness over the years.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I hope to see you soon someday.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Coach.